Hey, welcome back to the Air Advisor channel. Today we're going to talk about denied boarding and overbooking and what situations can actually lead to compensation and, how you could go about doing it. So this is a super important thing because in 2023 alone, 333,000 passengers in the US were denied boarding. But just over 16,000 of these passengers were denied boarding because of overbooking. This basically means that there are only three ways you could get compensation from the airline. The first one is weight and balance issues on the plane. Because this is basically a safety issue, it means that it might not always lead to compensation, but it could, especially if it's a result of poor planning by the airline. Also, if the plane was swapped for a smaller one, you could have been bumped because there's just literally not enough seats for you on the new plane. But if this aircraft swap should have been something that the airline could have prevented, then you could get compensation. So if it was something like a maintenance issue, and they had to swap the airline for a smaller one, and you were bumped as a result, it's something they could have avoided, and so you could get compensation. Reason number two is crew shortages. You can get compensation if you were bumped because of crew shortages, because this again is something that the airline is supposed to control. So it means that you're owed compensation if you're flying in Canada, the UK, or Europe. Not so much in the United States. The third reason, as we started in the beginning of this video, is overbooking. Basically, if you're bumped because the airline intentionally sold more tickets than seats available, then you can usually get compensation for the trouble. First, before they start to bump passengers, the airline will go and ask for volunteers to see, if they could get the situation resolved. But to do this, they'll also offer you some pretty tasty offers to try to entice passengers to do it. So if you have some time and flexibility, you might want to consider some of these offers. They could be pretty good. But if you don't accept one of these offers and you're still bumped, then you'll be put on the next available flight. Or you also have the option of not taking the flight at all, and you'll get a refund. So those are the three reasons that will lead to compensation if you get bumped from a flight. Now you might be wondering, how much compensation can you get? Well, this depends largely on where you're traveling. In Europe and the UK, you could get up to 600 euros or $650 or 520 pounds. In the US, you could get $775 if you end up arriving between 1 and 2 hours late on a domestic flight, or between 1 and 4 hours on an international flight. If you arrive later than this, then you could get up to $1,550, which is pretty good. Canada also has really good air passenger rights regulations. So if you're bumped in Canada, you could get up to 2,400 Canadian dollars, just depending on how late you arrive at your final destination. So now, how do you get compensation? How do you actually get this money in your pocket? If you're involuntarily bumped, the airline is required to give you a written statement about what caused it and, talking about your rights. Then you're going to have to file a claim with the airline. But all you have to really do is prepare a written statement that explains what happens and why you believe you're owed compensation. You'll need to include some important details about your flight, like just the flight number, your name, to and from, as well as any documentation, any correspondence you had with the airline agent, as well as the document they gave you stating the reason for your bumped flight. Include all of these things. You'll need all the supporting documentation you can get. And that's basically all you have to do. But it can be tricky, and sometimes airlines can be a little bit not exactly forthcoming in wanting to contact you about your compensation. So if you need help with your claim, you could always let us know here at Air Advisor. We're really happy to take care of you. We could, in fact, take care of the whole process for you. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Also, leave any ideas that you want to hear about for future videos. So thank you for watching, and thank you for your patience. See you next time.